For confidentiality purposes, my students are not allowed to be shown in the video. However, they were able to participate by using their voices.
So how do you know or get to know someone new that you just met?
You could always I'm trying to say the word right, but it's not working. You can greet them and be like, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah," and they can say their name.
Okay, so let's take a look at the next slide. It will give us an idea.
Okay.
How do you get to know someone? When you meet someone new, you want to learn about them. You will ask questions about a new person to get to know about him or her. When you spend time with someone new, you see what they like to eat and you see how they are with other people. It is almost the same thing when you are reading a book. You get to know the characters in the book just like you get to meet someone. So as you're looking at the PowerPoint on your devices as well as on the screen, so this gives an idea of how you get to know someone. So how are characters necessary in books?
Authors will give us information about a character such as what they look like, where they live, and who they live with.
Okay, so authors gives us information about characters. If we didn't have characters, why would we read it, right? When it comes to the type of books you like to read, correct?
Yeah.
So sometimes an author will tell us what a character likes to do and what their personality is like. But other times we learn those things by reading about what the character is doing and how they're interacting or behaving with other people. We can look at words that they use. If they use kind, respectful words, then we know that they are kind, respectful character. If they use unkind and hurtful words, then we know that they are not a nice character. We can also pay attention to their thoughts if the author shares those with us. So an example of this, as we've been doing Tuck Everlasting. Do we know much about the man in the yellow suit yet?
No.
No. What have we learned?
We've learned that Tuck, he had he was in a group with his family, I think. I don't remember very much of it.
Okay. Can you build on that?
He went in the woods to this little cabin thing with his family, and they stayed there. And then the little girl, she decided to leave, but then after that, she thought about it because she wanted to go back, but she didn't know which place to pick.
Okay, so that's what we have so far, correct? Since we only went to chapter 6. So today, what we're going to do, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So as I'm reading this, what I want you to do is open your handouts on your Schoology. It's exploring characters. So you are going to be reading an excerpt from James and the Giant Peach, which may or may not be our next novel study after we finish Tuck Everlasting. Of course, with Tuck Everlasting, we've been doing more setting rather than character. So while you are reading, pay close attention to the character in the story. Then you are going to answer questions about what you just read in the character. You open your exploring characters. So with James and the Giant Peach, we're going to read this and then be able to answer the questions. So here is James Henry Trotter when he was about 4 years old. Up until this time, he had a happy life living peacefully with his mother and father in a beautiful house beside the sea. There were always plenty of other children for him to play with, and there was a sandy beach for him to run about on and the ocean to paddle in. It was a perfect life for a small boy. Then one day, James' mother and father went to London to do some shopping, and there a terrible thing happened. Both of them suddenly got eaten up in full daylight, mind you, and on the crowded street by an enormous angry rhinoceros which had escaped from the London Zoo. Now this, as well as you can well imagine, was a rather nasty experience for two such gentle parents. Now this, as you can well imagine, was a rather nasty experience for two such gentle parents. But in the long run, it was far nastier for James than it was for them. Their troubles were all over in a jiffy. They were dead and gone in 35 seconds flat. Poor James, on the other hand, was still very much alive. And all at once, he found himself alone and frightened in the vast, unfriendly world. The lovely house by the seaside had to be sold immediately, and the little boy carrying nothing but a small suitcase containing a pair of pajamas and a toothbrush was sent away to live with his two aunts. Their names were Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker, and I am sorry to say they were both really horrible people. They were selfish and lazy and cruel, and right from the beginning, they started beating poor James for almost no reason at all. They never called him by his real name, but they always referred to him as "you disgusting little beast," or "you filthy nuisance," or "you miserable creature." And they certainly never gave him any toys to play with or any picture books to look at. His room was as bare as a prison cell. So taking a look at this. So the parents were what?
Pretty nice.
You can say it.
Pretty nice.
Pretty nice, right? What about the two aunts?
Oh, they're mean, cruel,
Horrible.
and lazy, and selfish for themselves.
They look horrible. They look horrible.
Okay,
They're mean. They hurt poor old James.
so let's take a look at the questions. So number one, why did James go live with his two aunts? So as I type this in, you're going to put this on yours, okay? With his two aunts.
Because his mother and father got eaten by a rhinoceros.
So, you gave a very descriptive detail, and we could go back into the passage and actually be able to write down his parents got eaten by a rhinoceros, which you can do. His parents passed away.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Like I said, we'll come back and actually put in more detail. But for right now, let's put his parents passed away.
Oh, how does it go?
Hold on. I'm gonna zoom out. You have it in front of you. So what was James like when he lived with his parents? Really think about it.
James was happy. He loved it, and James was happy, and he loved it.
Okay? So James was very happy. Number 3, how did James change after he went to live with his aunts?
He changed by they kept on beating him, basically. So he changed like a lot by them beating him, calling him these names.
So life wasn't as good as it was when he lived with his parents, correct? Let's see here, so living with his aunts. It's okay. Was a major difference. What about we put a disaster? They did not
Care about him.
treat
And like a little child.
very
Good.
well. So now that we have done the handout within Schoology on Tammy, we're going to play a quick Kahoot to see if you remember the characters and their traits within reading what we just did. Once we finish the Kahoot, we will discuss the answers from the handout.
Okay.
We're about to start the review.
What do that mean?
We don't have time. Okay, so this one might have some questions that we haven't gone over yet. Okay, so who wrote James and the Giant Peach? Ronald Dahl, Superman, Miss Rowland, or Barack Obama?
Got it.
The picture does help.
He's an old man.
Quickly.
I think it's doing good. Yes.
Who is the main character in the story? The BFG, Matilda, James, or Danny?
Matilda. Who's Matilda? Who's Danny? It was the BFG. Yes. The BFG was the person. I mean, in the first place.
Okay. What happens to James' mom and dad? Lost at sea, fell down a well, ran away with the circus, or eaten by a rhino?
I thought rhinos were carnivores. Mom. Oh, I'm on fire.
Okay, one more. Who does James go to live with? There's two answers. So which aunts?
Oh my god, they look ugly. Oh, they look ugly. Yes.
Okay, good job.